Bridal wear and fashion design is what I always ever wanted to do. I never wanted to do anything else. I was the original Blue Peter child. I had to take everything from my mum and turn it into something. And I did my A-levels, I went to college, I did art and design. I then ended up on a period costume degree in Liverpool, which was absolutely fabulous. It was very technical based. There was not too much design work in it, but it really gave me a very good technical grounding. So I graduated from my degree and I had specialised in the history of bridal wear. I actually ended up working in the theatre, but the theatre that I was working for closed down, and so I then worked in a local bridal store. Then I got a job as a junior designer with another designer and progressed that way, and now here I am. I have my own label, and it's just wonderful. It's the one thing I always wanted to do, so I feel very fortunate. I've worked very hard to get here, but this year I'm celebrating my 10th year in the industry. This dress is called Angel, and it's for the 2010 collection, so it's completely new. I've used the lace on the bodice, and this illustrates perfectly the detailing of bringing the ruching and the detail into the waist to create a really lovely shape. The fabrics on Angel are lace and silk organza on the skirt, and it's a really full skirt with my signature asymmetric waistline. When I designed this dress, I felt it was going to be special because I had the fabrics in mind. I knew how much I adored the lace, and I knew that it would work very well with the silk organza. The detailing evolved. I used the swathing on the bodice to accentuate the waist, and used the new bow and flower idea to create a focal point. What it does do though is it creates the soft romantic look that my new collection is all about. Even though this is a large ball gown skirt, the way I've cut it, giving lots of fabric around the hem but very slim around the hips, means that it's a lovely romantic traditional shape, but at the same time it's really light and easy to wear, which again is one of my signatures. I've actually been in the industry for 10 years. I'm celebrating that this year with this collection actually for 2010, so I'm very excited because in 2 weeks we're actually going to launch the 2010 collection. Although I have been in the industry for 10 years, my own label is quite new. It's perhaps only 4 or 5 years old, and each year I'm gaining more customers, more clients, and gaining my reputation. So actually I think now I'm quite well known for clean classic shapes, clean classic designs with a glamorous modern twist. Inspiration comes from everywhere. It can come from nature, it can come from fabrics, it can come from a catwalk, it can come from the high street. I can pick up a detail that I might see in a high street store that can then move forward into bridal wear. Trends in bridal wear seem to take a long time to come in, they stay for a long time, and then they take a long time to go out. So actually trying to generate new ideas for brides is obviously very important, and you can pick up key fashion directions and off of the high street and then feed them into the collection that way. So this dress is part of the 2010 collection. It's called Phoenix, and I'm very passionate about this dress because I absolutely adore the pleating. It's my passion. I adore pattern cutting, and so this was a challenge for me to try and create such a beautiful sunray effect and achieve a flat, gorgeous looking bodice. What I've done is I've actually focused the centre with a really lovely diamante shape in there. So again, you're taking the eye and the focus in all the time. It's creating a really good shape for this bride. Fabric, it is silk supreme, It's 100% silk and it's really, really light. Now this is a huge skirt. There are about 8 meters of fabric within this skirt, but because it's such a lightweight fabric, the bride feels very, very light and soft in it, and it floats as they walk. Now, up inside here, we've got a full petticoat again, which can have a hoop inside it to create an even fuller skirt. And as you'll see, there's lots and lots of fabric around the hem, but again, it's very, very smooth around the hips, so that we're creating a lovely smooth line. We're drawing the eye into the waist, we're smoothing over the bust and creating a really, really pretty shape on the neckline. I think the label has changed an awful lot. My signature tends to be asymmetry. Actually, I started off very, very symmetrical in my pattern cutting. I would have very symmetrical lines around the body, but then the fashion was very plain and simple at that point in time. With confidence, with inspiration, with dealing a lot with clients. I do a lot of designer days, so I tend to go out and meet my brides and make appointments to come and meet me in various shops around the country. I actually tend to use those as inspiration, and with the changing fashions and changing of fabrics, that's how the collection moves forward. So now the collection is much more romantic. My client tends to be a slightly younger girl, and so she wants something a little bit more modern, something fun. As I say, clean and classic lines, but with an elegant modern twist. The new collection for 2010 is very romantic. And I've used lots of organza, lots of laces, a new fabric for me, which is Georgette, which again is very soft and floaty and creates a softer look. My asymmetry is still within the collection. There's lots of ruching, lots of panelling and lots of detail, but by using different fabrics I've created a much softer look, which will appeal to lots of other clients. So this is Geneva, and it's a very, very, very clean line, and it's very glamorous. It's for that glamour puss girl. It's got quite a deep plunging neckline, but I have been very aware not to cut it too low so that it can put some clients off. We've got this beautiful big bow here, which again is really, really indicative of the story for the next season. It's big details. So we've got a really lovely focal point in the centre with the diamante. You'll see that it's very flattering because it draws the eye in again, and then we've got a lovely, clean, elegant shape. This is a real glamorous dress. So within the new collection, this dress is so important because it illustrates exactly Kate Sherford. It's a clean and classic shape with a big ball gown traditional skirt, but it's got an elegant modern twist with all this beautiful detailing into the bodice and the lovely diamante in the centre. My favourite area on this dress is actually the buttons, because they are so very pretty, and then you have this ruching again that comes into the waist area, focal point in on the waist, and then a really sexy, lovely, glamorous shape down onto the train. Well, it was always a passion of mine, bridal wear, and as I say, I did my dissertation on the history of bridal wear, so alongside my corsetry and my period costume, I was studying bridal wear as well. So yes, I suppose really the theatre for a day, the corsetry, it all comes together. But when I first started designing, my designs were very theatrical, and over the sort of 10-year period, I've learnt to become much more commercial and much more tuned in to what the public want, yet having to put directional ideas into the collection to take the collection forward. What I did was I took my knowledge and put it onto the inside of the garment, and then learnt to become commercial on the outside. Okay, so sapphire is a beautiful, beautiful shape. It's one of my favourites because these halter neck straps help to create this beautiful heart shape. I've had this trim especially made for me, and I think it accentuates the lines and the detailing and the ruching. It's a clean classic shape with a modern twist, and the ruching is the modern twist. Again, what I've done is I've taken all my detail, focusing in to create a really, really, really flattering shape. Underneath all of this pretty ruching is a very solid corset. So it's fully boned top to bottom. So the bride feels $1 million. She feels very held in. She feels very tilted, very lifted, and so the bust line is held in. There's no way one of my brides is falling out of her wedding dress on her day. So the skirt is a full ball gown skirt, which I've cut very tightly and neatly over the hips, but put lots and lots, an abundance of fabric in the hem. I've then put some really pretty soft petticoats underneath and a lovely hoop, so it accentuates the ball gown look. Every bride wants to swish on their wedding day, so the abundance of fabric when she dances is going to be beautiful. This is my princess dress. So the detail within the collection is really important. A dress could be a beautiful cut and a beautiful shape, but the detail is what gives it its wow factor. Bows are on the high street everywhere at the moment. That's what I mean about taking inspiration from the high street or from the catwalk. But we're not talking small bows. They've got to be of a decent size. Accessories this season do tend to be quite large. What I also tend to do is make them detachable. So a bride could add to her dress for the evening to make a different look. Christina is a very clean, classic shape. I've used lace almost entirely on the dress, but I've used this ruching panel across here to accentuate the bust line. It's been done quite delicately, and then I've beaded the detail in to echo the detail that crosses the waist. Again, it's asymmetric, it's kind of my signature, but what I've done is I've used the lace to create a really soft effect. A full-length lace dress is something that's quite new for me. But what I've done is I've used this panel on the bust just to give it my extra twist. I really love this lace, and what I've done is I've used a satin underneath, and what that does is then shines through the matte lace, so you get a double shine effect basically. So the fishtail line is very soft around the hemline, but I use a soft petticoat underneath to hold the shape and accentuate it for the day. The dress again is really, really lightweight with a really beautiful train, and then I've taken buttons all the way down the back of the dress to give a focus to the back of the dress. The real buttons, real working buttons, are really authentic. I wonder whether it comes from my costume background. I don't particularly like to see zips in dresses. It's really an exquisite detail and something that is focused on the wedding day. You do see the back of the dress a lot. People do focus on the back of the dress, so it's really important to give something for people to look at. So within the collection, I often resort back to my box of tricks, and I'll come up with a little gem that will just bring the dress to life. When people think of Kate Sherford, I think they think clean and classic shapes with a modern, elegant twist. When you design, you do design subconsciously. So in a way I design for myself, but I'm always thinking about the client and what she wants. How does she want to feel? How will these details make her feel $1 million on her wedding day? And so that's where the detail comes in. Kate Sherford is a young label for a young, modern, elegant bride. The fabrics are silks, so again there's a high level of fabric there. They are beautiful, they feel fantastic. The other thing is I try very, very hard not to use heavy fabrics, and the biggest comment I think I have about my dresses is they're so easy to wear. They're light, they're easy to walk round in, so it means that brides can use them for obviously traditional weddings at home, but they can take them abroad. They still get that traditional look, but they're so easy to wear. I get a lot of inspiration from fabrics. Lace is a really big story at the moment, and it has been for a couple of years, but it took a while for the lace stories to come through. Now lace is accepted, so beautiful laces. I love organza. This season organza is a really big fabric, and I'm learning with georgette. I'm using lots of georgette. As I said, it's very new for me, but it creates a much softer look. I love tulle, I love big skirts, but I also love strong shapes and silhouettes as well. In 10 years' time, I would like to see Kate Sherford as a widely recognised brand. I'd like to see it in New York, I'd like to see it global. I have every drive and every ambition to take it there. Every single Kate Sherford dress is based in Taunton in Somerset. I have a small workroom and a small, really highly skilled team, and we work very closely together to produce every single dress. I offer a standard, a mixed size or a made-to-measure service, so that every service is available, and I'm quite happy to interchange designs, etc., to suit the client's needs. But it's very, very important to me that production does remain in this country, and actually I'm really proud to say that my dresses are made in the UK because there's not many of us left. So this is the Kate Sherford workroom, and my dresses start their life here. And these are some examples of the 2010 collection sketches that I'm working on at the moment. I also have a research and development box. This is my trinket box, where I collect lots of gorgeous things and store them and use them for inspiration. There could be fabrics in here, diamantes in here, brooches, trims. This is where I get a lot of my inspiration from. So working opposite me is Roger. And Roger has years of experience, and he puts together our grades for our production patterns. Then we have Linda, and Linda works in the cutting department, and she hand cuts every dress, whether it be a standard size or a made to measure. Working around the room, we then have a really highly skilled team of machinists. And I have a small team. They work very closely with me, they work closely together. We have tight production schedules to enable us to get all our dresses out on time to meet the bride's delivery dates. And once it finishes on the sewing department, it moves forward to the hand sewing department. And Wendy is our head of hand sewing, and she works very hard on sewing all the beautiful beads and appliques on, and the endless amounts of buttons that go on the back of my dresses. Once it leaves Wendy, it goes to the quality control department. Now every dress gets put on a mannequin, which is really important because it means that we're seeing a body in the dress before it leaves here. So once it leaves the quality control department, it goes onto our dispatch rail, and then the dresses are dispatched out in time for the bride's fittings and obviously her wedding. Once we receive an order, it goes into our production system, and I actually plan the production for every week. So I know every dress that's being made, when it's being made, and when it's due to be dispatched. What happens then is I try to oversee every dress that goes through the workroom. Realistically, that could be quite difficult at times with my duties on the design front. But having said that, particularly if we have a bespoke dress, it's very important to oversee it through each department, from cutting to sewing to hand finishing. When I meet the brides on designer days, I like to design the dress, particularly a lot of them are made to measure, so I'll work on that and then I'll oversee the dress as it works around the workroom. Often they have design changes, so it's important to check that each design change is working as it goes through production. Each season I will produce anywhere between 20 to 30 new designs. I will also keep the best sellers from the last season's collection and roll them forward. They actually often provide a lot of inspiration for next season's collection. So within the collection, I often resort back to my box of tricks. Quite often I can have a dress that will come through and I'll absolutely love it, but it needs a particular detail. So back to the box of tricks, back to research and development, and I'll come up with a little gem that will just bring the dress to life. I tend to keep fabrics, trims, diamantes, anything that I think at the time when I see it, I'll buy it because I think it will be really gorgeous. So I might have a trim like this that will then be added to the waistband of a dress, or a brooch like this that will be added in to create a focal point. Some lace, for example. I tend to use European laces, gorgeous, gorgeous silks, and lots of beading, because lots of brides nowadays just adore beading. And I've got to think about how that lights the face, for example. So little trinkets like this are delightful because they just add a really gorgeous focal point to each dress. So this is my original sketch for the design. I sketch it out, make sure I'm happy with it. I then make my pattern. What you see here is actually the dress in its development stage. I use this to help me decide if my fabrics are correct and my design details are correct. What I've done is I've designed a full lace dress, and I'm wanting to add some sash detail with a bow. Again, what I'm trying to do is create a focus into the waist that's going to reduce the size of the bride. What I've done is I've added this designer's tape to give me my original line, and then I've draped my organza over the top and hidden a bow so that it looks like these two pieces of organza are coming together, tying together, and then they tie a bow. And then I'm going to put two tails down the front. In 2007, I was privileged to have won the Wedding Ideas Best New Bridal Wear Designer of the Year award. I had no idea that I'd even been put forward for the award until the magazine contacted me. The brides themselves and the readers of the magazine had actually put my name forward, and I was voted the winner. So it was absolutely wonderful.